Saturday morning, Spa-Francorchamps. 62 GT3 cars are lined up on the grid for the biggest GT race in the world. And the number 80 Porsche isn't one of them. It's sitting in the pit lane because its engine's been swapped overnight. And while everyone else takes the green flag from the grid, this car is starting from a standing stop in the pits, which in a 24-hour race with 60-plus cars is about as close to last as it gets. 24 hours later, that same car crosses the line first. Not third, not a lucky podium, first. And it's a result nobody, not the team, not the drivers, maybe not even Porsche, saw coming when that engine came out on Thursday. This is how the number 80 Lionspeed GP Porsche pulled off the biggest comeback in Spa 24 Hours history.
Let's rewind a bit, because the story actually starts before the race even begins. Going into the weekend, the number 80 car was one of the favorites. It's run by Lionspeed GP, a team that had never won at this level before, but they had a serious lineup. Ricardo Feller, Thomas Preining, and Bastian Boos, all three coming out of DTM, all three quick. Feller put the car 16th on the grid in qualifying. Solid, not spectacular, but well within striking distance for a 24-hour race, where track position after qualifying honestly means a lot less than it does in a sprint. Then, on Thursday, the team found a problem with the engine. Not a small one, but one bad enough that they made the call to swap it out entirely before the race. Under the rules, that penalty is brutal, because you lose your grid slot completely and start from the pit lane instead, behind the entire field. So just like that, a car that qualified 16th was about to start the biggest race of the year in something close to last place. For most teams, that's the weekend over before it even started. Nobody wins a 24-hour race from the pit lane. It had never happened before. Not at Spa, not anywhere in GT World Challenge Europe. When the race actually got going Saturday afternoon, the 80 car's job wasn't to be fast. It was to survive. Spa 24 Hours has a habit of eating cars alive in the first few hours. Big pack, tight sections like Eau Rouge and the bus stop chicane, and everyone's still fighting for position. Cars get punted off, engines let go, strategies fall apart before dinner. If you start from the pit lane, the temptation is to go send it and claw back time immediately. Lionspeed didn't do that. Instead, the team played the long game. They kept the car clean, avoided the early carnage, and just quietly worked forward. Not spectacular overtakes, just consistent mistake-free stints. By the time the sun went down, they'd already clawed back a big chunk of the field, simply by being one of the only cars that hadn't put a wheel wrong. That patience is the first real turning point of this story, even if it didn't look like much at the time. In a 24-hour race, the cars that win are usually the ones that were boring for the first 6 hours.
Night is where Spa 24 Hours usually decides itself, and 2026 was no different. This year's race had two extremes working against the field. Brutal heat during the day that punished tires and cooling systems, and then a sharp, intense burst of rain overnight that caught a lot of teams out. On top of that, the race saw 12 full-course yellow periods and 6 safety cars across the 24 hours, an unusually high number, even for Spa. Every one of those neutralizations is a strategic lottery. If your pit stop lines up right before a safety car comes out, you can gain huge chunks of time for free, because the field bunches up behind the safety car while you're already back up to speed. Get it wrong, and you lose a lap you'll never get back.
This is where the number 80 Porsche's low starting position actually started working in their favor. Because they were already running a recovery strategy, patient, clean, no unnecessary risks, the team was perfectly set up to capitalize when those yellow flags fell. Each caution period became an opportunity, and Lionspeed strategists kept cashing them in. By the time the sun came up Sunday morning, a car that had started from the pit lane wasn't just back in the pack anymore. It was in the top 5.
Here's the moment the whole race turned. Around 8:30 on Sunday morning, roughly 2/3 of the way through the race, Thomas Preining was behind the wheel and put in a double stint that changed everything. He'd been running 4th, and in the space of that one long run, he drove the number 80 Porsche from 4th all the way up to 1st. For context, a double stint just means staying out in the car for 2 full fuel and tire cycles instead of pitting in between. It's a gamble. Your tires degrade more, you're more tired, but you avoid losing time in the pits, and you can build a gap while everyone else is cycling through stops. Preining's version of that gamble worked perfectly. It wasn't a clean, uncontested lead either. The number 48 Mercedes-AMG, Lucas Auer, Mauro Engel, and Lucas Stoltz briefly took the lead back during a pit cycle the following hour, and for a stretch it looked like the top spot might change hands again before the finish. The Ferrari number 51, despite 2 punctures that cost it a lap, was still fighting back into contention too. This wasn't a case of one car running away with it. Right up until the final hours, at least 3 different cars were realistically still in the fight to win Spa 24 Hours outright. Once the 80 Porsche got back to the front for good, the job shifted again, from attack back to control. Outside of one final pit cycle in the second to last hour, the gap only grew. By the start of the final hour, Lionspeed's lead was over 20 seconds, and Praining, back in the car for the closing stint, brought it home under control rather than pushing for a bigger margin he didn't need. The Mercedes-AMG crossed the line second, having run a genuinely mistake-free race of their own. No punctures, no penalties, nothing. The Ferrari, despite everything working against it, still managed to hold on for third. Final margin, 12.288 seconds after 24 hours and 541 laps around the 7-kilometer circuit. That's the gap between a car that started from the pit lane winning the biggest GT race on the planet and it not happening at all. So if you still think this was just another cool comeback story hyperbole, here are 3 stats which are going to tear that down. First, no car has ever won the 24 Hours of Spa or any GT World Challenge Europe race starting from the pit lane. Ever. The previous record for the lowest starting position by an eventual winner was 29th. The number 80 car didn't just break that record, it obliterated it. Second, this was Porsche's first Spa 24 Hours win since 2020, and their 9th overall, in the year marking 75 years of Porsche Motorsport. Fitting timing, even if nobody planned it that way. And third, for Feller, Praining, and Boos, and for Lionspeed GP as a team, this was a first. First Spa win for all 3 drivers. First pro-class overall win at this level for the team in just their first season competing in that class. That's not a veteran outfit cashing in on experience. That's a newer team getting it right on one of the hardest weekends in racing.
Start from the pits, beat 60-plus cars, survive the heat, survive the rain, survive 12 full-course yellows and 6 safety cars. Win by 12 seconds. That's the 80 Porsche's Spa 24 Hours. If you want more breakdowns like this from endurance racing, you know what to do. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.